Do you ever feel like you've lived through this moment before? This question, asked by Neo in the classic film The Matrix, 1999, is followed by an intriguing explanation. In the film's universe, déjà vu is a sign that something has changed in the simulation. But outside of fiction, déjà vu remains one of the most mysterious phenomena of the human mind. It's that disconcerting moment when, for a brief moment, we feel like we're reliving something that already happened, even though we know it's not possible. Déjà vu is so fascinating that it has transcended science and become a recurring theme in pop culture. In The Matrix, it is an indication of flaws in the system. In Dark, it mixes with the idea of temporal cycles and inevitable destinies. And in our everyday lives, it appears as an inexplicable sensation that makes us question reality. Is it just a brain error, a memory failure, or could it be something deeper, like a glimpse into a past life or a connection to parallel dimensions? Science has been trying to unravel déjà vu for decades, but it continues to defy our understanding. Some researchers believe it is caused by small lapses in memory, while others suggest it may be a short circuit in the brain, where the present is confused with the past. There are also psychological theories that associate it with states of stress or tiredness, and even philosophical interpretations that see it as a reminder that time may not be as linear as we imagine. Today, we're going to delve into this intriguing phenomenon, exploring the scientific theories, psychological explanations, and cultural interpretations that attempt to answer a question we've all asked ourselves. Why do we feel like we're already living in the present? Prepare yourself for a journey that crosses the mind, memory, and perhaps even the limits of reality. Déjà vu, as a phenomenon, is as old as humanity itself. Since the earliest historical records, people have reported this strange and disconcerting feeling of having already lived a present moment. However, the way déjà vu has been interpreted over time reflects the beliefs, values, and knowledge of each era. It has been seen as a divine sign, a memory of past lives, an error of the mind, and more recently, as a neurological phenomenon that challenges our understanding of the brain. The term déjà vu, which in French means already seen, was coined at the end of the 19th century by the philosopher and researcher Émile Boirac. He used the term to describe the feeling of inexplicable familiarity that many people experience. Before that, the phenomenon was known by other names and described in different ways, but always with the same core: the feeling that the present is, in some way, a repetition of the past. In ancient times, déjà vu was often associated with spiritual and supernatural beliefs. In ancient Greece, philosophers such as Plato and Pythagoras believed in the idea of reincarnation and suggested that déjà vu could be a memory of past lives. This interpretation also appears in Eastern spiritual traditions such as Hinduism and Buddhism, which see déjà vu as a glimpse of experiences lived in previous cycles of existence. During the Middle Ages, déjà vu was often interpreted as a divine sign or supernatural intervention. At a time when religion dominated the worldview, the feeling of inexplicable familiarity was seen as a message from God or as an omen. Some people believed that déjà vu was a form of intuition, a warning that something important was about to happen. With the Renaissance and Enlightenment, the focus began to shift from spiritual to scientific explanations. Philosophers such as John Locke and David Hume explored déjà vu as part of their investigations into mind and memory. Hume, in particular, suggested that déjà vu could be the result of unconscious mental associations, where something in the present triggers a vague and distorted memory of the past. In the 19th century, with the advancement of psychology as a scientific discipline, déjà vu began to be studied in a more systematic way. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, interpreted déjà vu as a manifestation of the unconscious. He believed that the feeling of familiarity could be caused by repressed desires or forgotten memories. briefly emerging into consciousness. Although his theories are widely debated today, they paved the way for a more psychological approach to the phenomenon. At the same time, neurologists such as Émile Boirac and F.L. Arnault began to explore déjà vu as a brain phenomenon. They noted that déjà vu was more common in people with temporal lobe epilepsy, suggesting it could be related to abnormal activity in the brain. This connection between déjà vu and epilepsy was an important milestone in the scientific understanding of the phenomenon and continues to be a focus of research to this day. In the 20th century, the study of déjà vu was driven by advances in neuroscience and brain imaging technology. Researchers began using electroencephalograms, EEG, and later functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, to study the brain during episodes of déjà vu. These studies revealed that the phenomenon is often associated with activity in the medial temporal lobe, a region of the brain involved in memory and perception. One particularly interesting discovery was the identification of the role of the hippocampus, a structure in the temporal lobe that plays a crucial role in the formation and retrieval of memories. Studies suggest that déjà vu can occur when the hippocampus detects a similarity between the present and a past memory, but cannot identify the source of that memory. This creates the feeling of familiarity without clear context, which is the essence of déjà vu. Furthermore, the advancement of memory theories in the 20th century brought new perspectives on déjà vu. Researchers began exploring the idea that the phenomenon could be caused by false memories, memories that appear real but are actually manufactured by the brain. This idea is supported by studies showing that the human brain is incredibly prone to memory errors, especially in situations of stress or fatigue. However, despite all these advances, déjà vu remains a mystery in many ways. It is an incredibly difficult phenomenon to study because it occurs spontaneously and lasts only a few seconds. There is no way to predict when someone will experience déjà vu, which makes it nearly impossible to recreate in a laboratory setting. This means that most of what we know about déjà vu comes from personal accounts and indirect studies, such as research into memory, perception, and brain function. Today, déjà vu is seen as a multifaceted phenomenon, which likely has multiple causes and explanations. It could be an error in memory, a failure in perception, or even a short circuit in the brain. But regardless of its cause, it continues to intrigue us and challenge us to better understand the human mind. What makes déjà vu so fascinating is that it's not just a scientific phenomenon, it's also a deeply human experience. He makes us question the nature of time, memory, and reality. He reminds us that no matter how far we have advanced in science, there is still much we don't know about ourselves. And perhaps that's exactly what makes déjà vu so special. It's a reminder that mystery is an essential part of the human experience. Déjà vu, long relegated to the field of philosophical and spiritual speculation, began to be unveiled with the advancement of modern science. Although it still remains shrouded in mystery, the last few centuries have brought discoveries and innovations that have brought us closer to understanding what really happens in the brain during this peculiar experience. Neuroscience, psychology, and cutting-edge technology have worked together to shed light on the phenomenon, revealing fascinating clues about how our minds work. One of the biggest advances in the study of déjà vu was the identification of its connection with the temporal lobe of the brain, especially the hippocampus. This discovery was made possible by studies of patients suffering from temporal lobe epilepsy, a condition in which episodes of déjà vu are often reported before a seizure. By monitoring the brain activity of these patients, scientists observed that déjà vu is associated with abnormal patterns of electrical activity in the medial temporal lobe, a region crucial to memory and perception. This connection suggested that déjà vu may be caused by a short circuit in the brain, where the present is mistakenly interpreted as a past memory. Another significant advance came with the use of brain imaging technologies such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, and electroencephalography, EEG. These tools allowed researchers to observe the brain in action during laboratory-induced episodes of déjà vu. Although spontaneous déjà vu is difficult to study, scientists have discovered ways to recreate similar sensations in controlled environments. For example, by exposing participants to virtual scenarios that resemble places they've already visited, researchers were able to trigger a feeling of familiarity that mimics déjà vu. These studies have shown that the phenomenon involves a complex interaction between the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, and other areas of the brain responsible for memory and perception. One of the most promising theories to emerge from these studies is the so-called familiarity without recognition theory. According to this theory, déjà vu occurs when the brain detects a similarity between the present and a past memory, but cannot identify the source of that memory. This creates a feeling of familiarity without clear context, which is the essence of déjà vu. This theory is supported by studies showing that the hippocampus, which plays a crucial role in the formation and retrieval of memories, is activated during episodes of déjà vu. Another intriguing theory is the dual processing theory, which suggests that déjà vu is caused by a mismatch between two information processing systems in the brain. The first system, responsible for perceiving the present, processes information in real time, while the second system, responsible for memory, compares this information with past experiences. If these systems become out of sync, for example, if the memory system activates before the perception system, it can create the illusion that we are reliving something that has already happened. In addition to theories based on memory and perception, advances in psychology have also brought new perspectives on déjà vu. Studies have shown that the phenomenon is more common in people who are under stress, fatigue, or distraction, suggesting that it can be influenced by emotional and cognitive factors. For example, stress can affect the way the brain processes information, increasing the likelihood of errors that lead to déjà vu. Likewise, tiredness can reduce the brain's efficiency in distinguishing between the present and the past, creating a feeling of familiarity. Another emerging field in the study of déjà vu is artificial intelligence, AI. Researchers are using machine learning algorithms to analyze large volumes of brain data and identify patterns associated with the phenomenon. These algorithms are helping to map the neural connections involved in déjà vu, revealing how different areas of the brain work together to create the experience. Additionally, AI is being used to simulate déjà vu in computer models, allowing scientists to test theories and explore new hypotheses in ways that were previously impossible. Advances in neuroscience are also challenging some of the traditional ideas about déjà vu. For example, recent studies suggest that the phenomenon may not be an error or a glitch in the brain, but rather an adaptive mechanism that helps the mind check the consistency of its memories. According to this view, déjà vu would be a kind of checking system of the brain, which detects inconsistencies between the present and the past and corrects possible memory errors. This idea is supported by studies showing that déjà vu is associated with greater activity in the prefrontal cortex, an area of the brain involved in monitoring and decision-making. Despite these advances, déjà vu remains a mystery in many ways. It is an incredibly complex phenomenon involving multiple systems and processes in the brain. Each new discovery seems to raise more questions than answers, keeping the fascination with this enigma of the human mind alive. However, the successes and innovations in the study of déjà vu show us that we are only beginning to explore its potential, and that the future of neuroscience promises to reveal even more about this intriguing phenomenon. As fascinating as déjà vu is, it is also one of the most challenging phenomena to study in modern science. Its spontaneous, subjective and ephemeral nature makes it almost impossible to capture it in real time or replicate it reliably in the laboratory. And although technological and theoretical advances have brought us closer to understanding what happens in the brain during déjà vu, the phenomenon continues to be fertile ground for controversy, debate, and even misunderstanding. One of the biggest difficulties in studying déjà vu is the lack of consensus on its definition and classification. Although most researchers agree that déjà vu involves a feeling of inexplicable familiarity, there is debate over whether it should be considered a purely neurological phenomenon, a psychological phenomenon, or a combination of both. This lack of clarity makes it difficult to create standardized methods for studying it, which in turn limits progress in understanding the phenomenon. Furthermore, existing theories about déjà vu often conflict with each other. For example, while some theories suggest that the phenomenon is caused by memory failures, others argue that it is the result of errors in the perception or processing of time. These divergences reflect the complexity of déjà vu, but they also raise questions about the validity and applicability of theories. Are we really getting closer to a unified explanation, or are we just scratching the surface of something much deeper? Another point of controversy is the use of brain imaging technologies, such as functional magnetic resonance imaging, fMRI, to study déjà vu. While these tools have revolutionized neuroscience, they also have their limitations. For example, fMRI measures changes in blood flow in the brain, which are used as a proxy for neural activity. However, these changes occur on a scale of seconds, whereas déjà vu only lasts a few moments. This raises questions about whether current technologies are truly capable of capturing the phenomenon in real time, or whether we are just observing its side effects. In addition to technological limitations, there are also ethical issues involved in studying déjà vu. Some experiments attempt to induce déjà vu-like sensations in participants, using methods such as hypnosis, electrical stimulation, or exposure to virtual scenarios. While these methods are generally safe, they raise concerns about the well-being of participants and the limits of what is acceptable in the name of science. To what extent is it ethical to manipulate the human mind to study such a subjective and personal phenomenon? Another controversial aspect of déjà vu is its relationship with neurological and psychological conditions. Although the phenomenon is generally harmless, it is more common in people with temporal lobe epilepsy, which has led some researchers to suggest that it may be a sign of brain dysfunction. However, this association has also led to stigma and misunderstanding, with some people interpreting déjà vu as a symptom of something wrong, rather than a normal common experience. This highlights the need for clear and responsible communication about the phenomenon, both in science and society. In addition to scientific controversies, déjà vu is also the target of pseudo-scientific speculation and mystical interpretations. Some people believe the phenomenon is proof of reincarnation, past lives, or parallel dimensions. Although these ideas have no scientific basis, they reflect the cultural and emotional impact of déjà vu, which often transcends rational explanations. However, the popularity of these interpretations can also obscure scientific understanding of the phenomenon, creating confusion and perpetuating myths. Another challenge in studying déjà vu is the difficulty of separating the phenomenon from similar experiences, such as jamais vu, the feeling that something familiar seems strange, or false familiarity, when something is mistakenly recognized as familiar. These experiences share characteristics with déjà vu, but have different causes and mechanisms. The lack of clear distinction between these phenomena can lead to misinterpretations and excessive generalizations, hindering research progress. Finally, déjà vu also raises philosophical and existential questions that challenge our understanding of time, memory, and reality. Is the phenomenon just a brain error, or does it reflect something deeper about the nature of the human experience? Is it a reminder that time may not be as linear as we imagine, or a window into dimensions we don't yet understand? These questions have no easy answers, but they highlight the lasting impact of déjà vu on our search for meaning and understanding. Despite these controversies and challenges, the study of déjà vu continues to advance, driven by human curiosity and the desire to unlock the mysteries of the mind. He reminds us that no matter how much we know about the brain, there is still much we don't understand, and perhaps never will fully understand. But in the end, perhaps that's exactly what makes déjà vu so fascinating. It's a reminder that mystery is an essential part of the human experience, and that some questions can be just as important as the answers. Déjà vu is more than a curious phenomenon of the human mind. It is a reminder that no matter how far we have advanced, in science and technology, there are still mysteries that defy our understanding. It connects us to something deeply human, the sense that the present, past, and future can be intertwined in ways we cannot yet explain. And at the same time, he challenges us to continue exploring, questioning, and learning. In science, the study of déjà vu has been a window to better understand the functioning of the brain and memory. He showed us that the brain is not a perfect machine, but an incredibly complex and sometimes fallible system. He taught us that memory is not an exact record of the past, but a reconstruction that can be influenced by emotions, contexts, and even mistakes. And perhaps most importantly, he reminded us that familiarity, that sense of already experienced, is an essential part of how we navigate the world. But the impact of déjà vu goes beyond science. It also has a special place in culture, philosophy, and art. Films like The Matrix and Dark have used déjà vu as a metaphor to explore themes like destiny, free will, and the nature of reality. Writers and poets have described it as a glimpse of something greater, a connection to the unknown. And for many people, déjà vu is a deeply personal experience, one that raises questions about who we are and how we perceive the world. Déjà vu also challenges us to think about time in new and unexpected ways. It makes us question whether time is truly linear as we believe, or whether it is more fluid and cyclical. It reminds us that the present is always shaped by the past, and that our memories, even the vaguest and most fragmented, play a crucial role in how we experience the now. And in doing so, he invites us to reflect on the nature of the human experience and what it means to be alive. Furthermore, déjà vu has an emotional impact that is difficult to quantify but impossible to ignore. It makes us stop, even if for a moment, and pay attention to what is happening around us. It takes us off autopilot and puts us in a state of curiosity and introspection. And in an increasingly fast-paced world, this is perhaps one of his greatest contributions. He reminds us that the present is precious, even when it seems familiar. However, the legacy of déjà vu is not just about what it teaches us, it is also about what it inspires us to pursue. He challenges us to continue exploring the mysteries of the mind, to question our assumptions about time and reality, and to embrace the unknown as an essential part of the human journey. He reminds us that no matter how far we advance, there will always be questions we cannot answer, and that perhaps this is something to be celebrated, not feared. In the end, déjà vu is a phenomenon that connects us, not just to our past, but also to each other. It is a shared experience which transcends cultures, ages, and contexts. It reminds us that no matter how different we are, We've all had that strange, magical moment of feeling like we've been here before. And perhaps that's exactly what makes déjà vu so special. It's a reminder that deep down, we're all part of something bigger, something we're still trying to understand. And so, déjà vu remains, not just as a mystery of the mind, but as a symbol of our curiosity, our humanity, and our never-ending search for meaning. He challenges us to look at the familiar with new eyes, to question what we take for granted, and to embrace the unknown as an essential part of who we are. Because ultimately, the real mystery of déjà vu isn't just how it happens, but what it makes us feel, think, and imagine.